Hey guys, so today I'm going to show you how to log into NearPod, some NearPod features, and just some things we can do with it, including how to push it out to students. So in the Omnibox, or the place where you would enter a web address, you want to put in nearpod.com, and you're going to want to log in with your Malden PS account. So what we're going to do is we're going to click Login with Google. Oop, I'm still figuring out the pointers, you guys. We're going to click Login with Google. And as you can see, I have some lessons already that I have bookmarked, but I'm going to explain some of the different features of what you can do in NearPod. So on the left-hand side of the screen, you have My Library. This is where you can save lessons or lessons you've created, district lessons, or lessons from the library to share with kids later. There's also reports. That's a way that you can see how kids are doing on your lessons if you have like questions they need to answer. I don't think the subplans feature is relevant to us, so I'm not going to talk about that. There's also the school library feature. This is really cool. Whenever you create content in NearPod, we can all, like anyone across the district or the high school, can see what each other is doing, which this is actually pretty useful because let's say that Ann or Judy made a lesson that I really want to use with my class, or I really like the layout. I can recreate that and edit it to my needs. So let's take a look at the school library. So as you can see, some of our coworkers have already created some lessons in NearPod. And let's say I really like Miss Marquez's lesson on annotation, for example. I could click this eyeball icon to preview the lesson. And this is how it will look as I'm presenting it to kids. I see there's some notes and things like that. Oh, and so here's one of the actual features of NearPod that students will use. And you can actually choose to launch a lesson live, meaning students are doing the lesson with you, or you can ask the kids to, you can assign the lesson to be independent, where students will work on this on their own. So let's say I really love this lesson. I just want to teach annotation as well. What I would do if I want to save this for later is I would click on this blue button at the bottom that says Add to my library. And then it lets me even show it in my library to see that I've saved it. Okay, cool. All right, I want to go back to the main screen. To get back to the home page, you can always click on the NearPod icon on the top left-hand side of the screen. All right, so there's the school library. There's the district library. It looks like actually people aren't really sharing across the district yet. So we can look across the school library of Malden High to see different things. There's also the NearPod library, which I think there's a lot of different things that we can use. So as you can see, we have a subscription to some different series of lessons on topics like being debt-free, racial justice. There's some back to school activities. There's an activities on Hispanic Heritage Month. If you want to search and see what's available, you could scroll through. You could go look at the different videos, some of the different top lessons for each topic, some lessons by different publishers, or you could search. So let's say that I'm teaching history and I want to see what's available for US history. On the left-hand side of the screen, you can search. I'm not even going to select a term. I just want to see what's available for social studies. Okay, so as I can see, It looks like there's many different topics, and what I could do is I could preview them, see if they have any connection to what I'm teaching or my topic area, and I could modify them for my own use, or I could just save them to my library to use with students later. All right, so that's the My Library feature. Now let's say that I have created a lesson or I've saved a lesson to my library and I'm ready to share that lesson with the class. So right now in my digital literacy class, I'm having students work on typing. So what I would do is I would hover over the lesson and I would decide, am I going to have that lesson be live participation or am I going to have that lesson be student-paced? If the lesson is live participation, I control the session. Students can only log in and they can only move from slide to slide as I'm moving on them. If the lesson is student-paced, I can post it onto Google Classroom or share the link with them and they can do this on their own. This would be a great thing if you have something that is relatively independent for students to do. This is something you can have students do during asynchronous work time. So let's say that I want to participate and have students do the class live. So I would click on live participation. And just like Kahoot or quizzes, it gives a code that you can use to join. I'm finding that it's easier for students to click on this link, copy it, and put that link in the Google Meets chat or to post that link onto Google Classroom. NearPod is already connected with our Google Classroom, so if I wanted to post the link, I would pick out a class and share it. So what will then happen is I will push out this code, this link, or the Google Classroom post to kids. And as you can see at the bottom, there's 0 kids logged in. But once they did log in, once I had my whole class, I could go ahead and launch. So what I could do is, as you can see, there are blue arrows on the left-hand side and the right-hand side. If you're demoing a live lesson with kids, make sure you're on the NearPod screen, not Google Meet with kids, and make sure they know that they should be on the NearPod screen as well. But you'll use these blue arrows to move back and forth as you're launching a live lesson with students. So I could use Google Meet to narrate what they're supposed to be doing or explain the slide they're looking at. But then they will also see, on their side of the screen, they will see this as a question. And I can see if they've answered the question or not. If they do this independently, you can require that they submit all of their answers to the NearPod slides at the end of the lesson. So again, this is something you could assign for homework. So basically, this is an introduction to how you would demo a session with students. I will also show you how to create it as a student-paced lesson. In a future video, I will show you how to make your own independent lesson or add on with Google Slides. So let's say that I wanted to assign this as a student-paced lesson. So again, there's a code for student-paced lessons, but I would probably want to put this in Google Classroom and explain the due date and things like that so kids can see it. I want to require student submissions because I want students to know it's an assignment. So I'm going to click the On button. And I'm also going to change the due date because October 23rd is way too late. So if you click on the 29 days remaining, you can actually adjust what the due date is of your assignment. So let's say I want it to be October 1st. Now it says October 1st. So I would need to make sure that students have access to it. I could give them the code. I could copy and paste the link in the chat. I would recommend posting your assignment onto Google Classroom and explaining the due date and just sort of walking kids through NearPod if they're new to it and explaining what it is. So these are some basics of how to browse through the library and how to bookmark a lesson to use and how to launch a lesson either live or asynchronously. I hope this is helpful. Let me know if you have questions or just need to practice, and I'm happy to help you at any time.